September 17th, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 81 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
When we were done recording our last episode, afterwards we were out in the driveway just kind of talking about our plans for the weekend. And I think you brought up, hey, you know, we should probably be going to other casinos in the area.
Right, because we talk about some of the other casinos, but we don't go to them that much.
Yeah. And so we started talking about Paula, which is relatively close to Harrah's, Southern California, where we always go.
Yeah, it's like, what, a 5-minute drive?
Maybe more than that, but it's close enough, yeah. And we've been getting some flyers from them and thinking, oh, well, your brother goes there quite a bit,
He goes there quite a bit. Yeah, he likes it.
So we decided that for that upcoming weekend, you actually said, I'll tell you what, let's go to Harrah's, and if I lose my initial buy-in, you said, then we'll go to Paula.
Right.
Right?
Right. I said, you know, if I buy in a certain amount and I don't want to, if I have to rebuy, why don't we just go to Paula and rebuy there?
Yep. So we're driving up there with your dad on the night of the Friday, and I remind you of this. You'd completely forgotten it.
Yeah, as usual.
So we go out there to Harrah's, and we lose our initial buy-in pretty quickly.
It did not go well.
No. And so I said, okay, let's go to Paula. You were real reluctant, you know, in the heat of the moment. It's like, but I said, no, we're going to stick to this. We got to do this. If not for anything else, for the show. You got to tell people. So
the voice of reason held me to it.
So we got back in the car. Your dad was tickled pink.
Oh, he was
going
excited.
Up there.
Yeah, he likes it there
because he goes there quite a bit with your brother also, right? Yeah. So we go up there and you sign up for a player's card. I already had one, and we go to the table. And the thing was, they only have 2 tables there.
That's the first thing I don't like.
Yeah.
Is there are only 2 tables. So if they're crowded, they're crowded.
Yep.
And if you're losing on one, you don't have a choice.
So we're looking around trying to find some room. We finally did find a couple of spots that we were able to squeeze into. It's funny because as we're walking into the casino, you've just got a terrible feeling. You're just like, boy, you know, you're almost angry that we're there.
Talk about squeezing in, right?
Yeah.
You were standing sideways.
Yeah.
I mean, there was not a lot of room.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny. I was tweeting with Tony Snyder at Vice Lounge Online. We were talking about, you know, the maximum number of people you can have on each side of the table.
Right.
And this particular table had fire bets for at least 8 people.
They typically do.
Yeah. There were 7 of us on each side of the table, and it was too crowded.
It was too crowded.
You know.
And the reason is because they have those chairs. And people sitting down tend to take up way more room. Right. They lean on the table and they put their elbows out and they just take up a lot of room.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later because we have a phone call related to that coming up too. But so it was crowded. I don't know why they only have 2 tables if that's how many people are playing craps there on a Friday night.
It's a big casino too.
Yeah, it is big.
And you know, they could easily have 3 or 4 tables.
So anyway, long story short, it didn't go well.
It probably went worse than it did at Harrah's.
Yeah, it was one of the worst nights total with the combined casinos than we've had in a long time. That's saying something. And it wasn't enjoyable. The crowd, the dealers were certainly not as good as the ones at Harrah's.
The dealers were not good, period.
Yeah.
And I mean, that worked to our favor several times.
Right.
Where we were paid when we weren't supposed to be and stuff because they were just bad dealers.
Yeah. So,
you know, and they weren't engaging.
Yeah.
So we did not have a good time.
No.
And you know, when you're losing and the dealers aren't friendly or engaging and it was slow. I felt it was slow. I felt it was very slow.
It was, yeah.
They have this bet called the Paula bet.
Right.
And it's a thing where
what they do is on this particular craps, again, every craps game in California has to be card based. So in this particular craps game, they have a deck of 36 cards. Each card has, you know, the possible combination of the dice, all 36 combinations. And they just pull out 2 of these cards. They put one in a blue spot and one in a red spot. And then you roll these dice, a red die and a blue die.
Which means nothing.
I'm not even going to get into the minutia of it, but basically, if the red die has the higher number, they turn over the card in the red spot. And if the blue die is higher, they turn over the card in the blue spot.
The dice, they're not normal dice.
Anyway.
They only have 2s and 5s on one and 3s and 4s on the other.
This special Paula bet wins if one of the cards is aces and the other card is 12.
Right. So if the first card you turn over is a 2 or a 12, then they flip over the second one, and if it's the opposite,
then the Paula
bet wins, and it wins, what is it,
500 to 1.
500 to 1.
Yeah.
And the max you can bet on it's $1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a lot of times people are putting that out there, and that delays the thing. Yeah. And it seemed like there were a lot of prop bets on that table.
A lot of people making prop bets. A lot of people more though than you think at Harrah's?
Yeah, I think so. On that particular table anyway.
Right.
So it just went slow, and that's infuriating to us. And then we're standing sideways.
Yeah.
The drinks were okay. The cocktail waitress did come around fairly regularly.
I guess so. I can't see us going back anytime soon.
No, it was not an enjoyable experience. Usually, after something like that, I feel kind of abused on the drive home. Mm-hmm. I felt violated this time. Yeah. I mean, violated.
Yeah. Well, it went so bad for you that week that the following week, this last weekend, I said, Mike, start playing more like me.
Yeah, I did.
Right? And you did. And we both ended up losing again, but you lost much slower. You would have lost if you'd been playing your normal way easily. You would have been out of money way sooner.
Oh, way sooner. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was not good. The rolls were not good.
It was not good, but you were playing more conservative, pass line come bets. And I think you were enjoying yourself. I don't think you were enjoying yourself any less.
I've said that before. I do enjoy it. I enjoy playing craps.
Okay.
It's really exciting when you hit some real big hard ways or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had to play that way because I didn't want to go home violated again.
Okay, well, good. Well, that worked out okay. So on our last episode, we got a call from somebody asking, hey, if you, say, won some kind of tournament and you were offered the grand prize in cash or in free play for the same amount, why would you ever take the free play? And so we said, well, you wouldn't. The cash is much better. Of course, you'd take the cash. You'd never take the free play. Well, as soon as we posted that episode, we were bombarded by listeners saying, hey, you're not taking into account the tax considerations here. And it makes me so mad that we missed this, Mike, because you and I have talked about this before. Right. We've talked about it with casino hosts. Do you think customers would prefer free play over cash? We actually talked about the tax implications, but for whatever reason, it just went over our head. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you and I don't pay taxes.
Right. So we never think about it.
Yeah, right. We never have to think about it. Yeah. That's one nice thing about being a scofflaw. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay. If you get cash and it's over a certain amount, if you take the cash, you may have to fill out a tax form.
More than likely you will.
Right. I think it's $1,200. See, the thing is, if it's some kind of a tournament or a sweepstakes, it's not gambling. It's not a W-2G. You're probably going to get a 1099 miscellaneous.
Right.
So if you were like in a blackjack tournament or something like that, right?
Like it's full income.
Right. So you're going to have to fill one of those out if you get cash. If you get free play, you don't have to fill out that form. Now, of course, anything you win by playing that free play, you need to declare and you need to pay your taxes. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. Pay your taxes.
Technically, that's correct.
Right. But if you take the cash, you absolutely will have to fill out a tax form. And so that is a pretty big consideration.
Yeah. Honestly, at the time, and whenever I hear free play, I think of the free play that I get every week, which is like $300 or $400.
Yeah.
So I don't think about it. I didn't think about it like, oh yeah, this could be $10,000.
Well, yeah, but see, even so, in the last episode, you used $2,000 as an example. Right?
I know, I did, I guess. But it's just one of those things. I wasn't thinking in those terms.
Yeah,
so
yeah. One thing to keep in mind now, if it's free play, again, we're talking if the amount of money is the same. You get the same amount whether you take cash or free play. If the free play is in slots, no problem. If it's in table game chips, you actually want to make sure that if you're taking the free play, you're getting chips that will stay out on the table until they lose. Because if the casino takes that free play chip, whether you win or lose, then you need to take the cash absolutely, because suddenly that free play is worth about 50% of the cash.
Right.
And we've kind of talked about this before. So that's something to keep in mind. Typically, though, you're going to get free play in slot play.
Yeah, you have to be careful with free play, though. What if it was match play?
Right, that's another thing. Yeah, we're talking about free play. If it's match play, that's a whole other issue, right? Because then you've got to play through it. I mean, technically, it might be good for you, but again, is it a match play chip that stays out there? Do they collect it? It's definitely something to consider. But we did fail to mention the taxes. We did get a lot of responses saying, "Yeah, I was listening to the episode." And
well, I don't know if the listeners know this or not, but neither one of us are CPAs.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I really am not sure about you, because sometimes you say things and it's like, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not. Yeah, that's true. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. So we've been talking lately about, where are good places to learn to play craps. And one of our listeners mentioned, a lot of casinos offer lessons, maybe in the morning, that kind of thing. They'll actually, teach you how to play. Ryan on Twitter posted a sign from the Venetian that shows all the gambling lessons that they offer. And I was impressed to see that they have lessons every day.
Right.
Even on Saturdays. Now, Saturdays, they only have one lesson for craps, one for blackjack, one for roulette. But every other day of the week, they have it twice a day. Craps is 11 a.m. and 7 p.m.
I was surprised about 7 p.m.
I know.
I mean, that's kind of prime time. People might have finished dinner, or just before dinner, they gamble a little bit. Yeah. And, to go give a lesson, that's taking up some room.
I think that's pretty good. What got to me, though, is this sign at the very top. It says, "Learn to play." And "learn to play" is in quotes.
Yeah.
Now, why is that in quotes?
It's in quotes.
Learn to play.
It's in quotes because you don't really learn to play.
We'll teach you how to play. Yeah, come on over to the Venetian. So that's pretty funny.
I wonder the person who wrote that, why they put the quotes there.
Another thing we talked about recently, there was one of our listeners was playing at SLS, and several minutes after he had wrongly been paid for a hand he should have lost, but the dealer actually paid him, a casino exec came over and requested that our listener not only refund the winnings that he got, but also the initial bet that should have lost, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we got an email from Kevin who pointed us to a Twitter account where this player, Jeffrey, actually got a letter in the mail from the casino about a mispayment that they found. Okay. And I'm going to post a link to this so everybody can see this letter. But the letter is dated December 9th, 2014. Okay. December 9th. The letter says, "Dear sir, on November 19th, 2014, you visited our table games and our dealer inadvertently overpaid you $200 on a push." So first of all, he's getting this letter in the mail.
A couple of weeks later
in the mail, right? Apparently the player had a 20, like an ace and a 9, and the dealer had 2 face cards and it should have been a push. Continuing reading this letter here. "We are requesting you call me or director of table games to discuss this situation. Contact information is listed below." This is unbelievable.
Yeah, the letter's from the director of security.
Yeah.
So the security people go through the film and, oh yeah, this guy should have paid. Let's get his player card number. And
I can understand doing audits, and going through the tape. Maybe, you talk to the dealer or he gets a reprimand or something like that, right?
That's who they need to talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the dealer like, hey, you got to be a little more careful here.
Yeah.
We know you're not cheating, but, you overpaid this guy. That can't happen. Let's not do that again.
Yeah. But to actually send a letter to a player several weeks later.
Yeah. I would have waited 2 weeks. I would have wrote them a letter and said, I mailed that in already. You should be getting it any time.
That's a good idea.
And then when, a couple of months later, when they call you back, or I don't know, must have got lost in the mail. Right. I'll mail you another check.
I'm guessing Jeffrey just didn't respond at all.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know. But this was the Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. So I want to mention the casino because this is so ridiculous.
It's Boot Hill. I thought that said butthole.
Hey, our voicemail hotline is ringing off the hook. Don't forget to call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First, let's hear from Max.
Hi, Mike and Mark. This is Matt from Santa Cruz. I just wanted to call and thank you guys for the podcast. I've been listening to quite a bit of them over and over again in order to get better at understanding craps. I took a trip to Las Vegas last weekend and stayed at the Cosmo, took a trip across the street to Planet Hollywood where we found $10 minimums. They also have the fire bet there, which I thought was pretty cool. We had a shoot to get 3 numbers, almost got to that 4th number. It was a really good time. I was worried that a $150 bankroll wouldn't get me far, but I just played gradually and enjoyed myself and had a really good time. One thing that I thought you and your listeners might also find interesting is that I went to the club at the Wynn XS, and, I was expecting for the price of tickets and the fact that it was Friday night that the craps would be, $25 minimums or something quite large, and could not believe they were $10 minimums. And I had such a good time playing while everybody was dancing and jumping in and out of the pool, midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So that was great. Thanks for all that you guys do, and perhaps we'll see you guys at DIMP. Something that I'm sure we're all looking forward to. All right. Bye-bye.
Now, you and I are not club guys.
No, we're not.
But I had no idea that they actually have table games inside the clubs.
Yeah, I wonder if that's common.
Yeah, let us know because, the last time I was in a club was so long ago. If I went now, it'd be creepy, I think. So
yeah, right. It would be creepy.
But, so tables in the clubs and, $10, that's not bad. I guess there's no, I mean, they've charged you to get in there already.
Right. Yeah. But if you're playing craps at a $10 table having fun and there's a lot of girls and whatnot dancing around you, you're younger and everything, that's a great deal.
It actually sounds fun. Now it's Win, so it's probably double odds, right? Since they changed their odds.
Right.
But that is pretty good. $10 inside the club.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would expect a lot more.
That does sound fun. Yeah. All right. Let's hear from Kevin.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Kevin from San Antonio, and I just got back from another trip to Las Vegas. A little unusual, but this one was for a good reason. It was a big birthday with a 0 at the end, and we headed out there, my wife and I, and hit the Cirque for the big birthday dinner. We had the 10-course meal, which took us, almost 4 hours. Amazing food, awesome, just an amazing place. Overlook at the fountain out there by Bellagio, and we paired it with the wine. So for every one of those courses, we basically got almost a full glass of wine. The guy was very generous with the pours, which was I enjoyed, but my wife took advantage of it, I think, a little too much, and as we went through dinner, she slunk slower and slower and lower into her seat. But a great time. But a couple stories. The first was we were up at the Cow, and there was a $5 table with only one little spot available, and it was almost taken over by the 2 guys next to it. And so my wife said, I can squeeze in there. So she squeezed in there. And I'm over there trying to, standing about 10 feet away from the table, trying to give her hand signals on what to bet and this and that. And after about 5 minutes, the dealer just starts looking at me and asking, what does she want? So he's yelling at me from 10 feet away. And I was basically placing bets through my wife about 10 feet away from the table. And this shooter went crazy. The second shooter, after she got to the table, it was insane. And she got about 5 times her initial buy-in. And as soon as that shooter crapped out, after, 20, 30 minutes, the whole table, except for one guy, every single one of them, they didn't know each other, all cashed in, every single one of them, and all went to the cage. And I've never quite seen that before. Another quick story, we were playing in New York, where we were staying, and it was kind of late at night, and we're waiting around for a beer for a while, and this is one of those stories about how crazy the casinos are. And so waitress didn't come around for a while, so I said, you know what, I'll run to the gift store and buy a couple beers for the people at the table here, and so I ran over and bought a couple beers, and came back to the table, and, my new gambling buddies and I, we enjoyed ourselves a nice Miller Lite. Well, guess what? The pit boss comes over, and I think he's going to apologize for the slow drink service. And I was going to tell him no problem. Probably save me some money, missing a couple hands. Instead, this guy said, you cannot bring beers to the table, and forbade us from doing that. I said, I bought them in your gift store. And he said, nope, not allowed. The only way you can get drinks here is from the waitress. I said, well, what if I go to the bar? Said, nope, can't do it. At that point, there's only three of us at the table. You know, I'm playing green, another guy's playing green, a third guy is playing two hands of black. And at that point, all three of us got up and walked away. And I just cannot understand that. I mean, I can't pay for my own beer. Seems like it would be a good deal for them. And who knows? But anyway, had a good trip, had a bunch of fun. Thanks for your podcast.
What is wrong with casinos?
I don't know. I'm sitting here, as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, what would be their reason for not letting him bring the beer there?
Now, I have seen casinos that don't want you to bring in outside drinks, like some of the local casinos here.
Well, that I understand.
They want to sell your own. I kind of understand that, although in Vegas, you're taking drinks here and there,
right.
whatever.
Well, you can get a drink at the blackjack table.
Yeah.
And then, I'm going to go play craps. You can pick your drink up and carry it over to the craps table. Now, do they have some kind of like laser imprint on the glass that they know that's their glass? How do they know you didn't come from across the street?
This is so ridiculous. I wonder if this is just some pit boss who doesn't understand the situation. Kevin actually went to their gift shop and paid money for a drink that he would have gotten for free,
right?
If the waitress
had they been doing their job,
right? Exactly. And the pit boss says, "No, you can't bring." What are we missing? Hey, we missed the whole taxable, cash thing last time versus free play. What are we missing here?
I would think the casino would want you to drink. Because it's been my experience that no one's a better gambler when they're out cold, when they're drunk as can be.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, what could you have in there that they'd possibly be afraid of?
Yeah, maybe that's what, they're thinking is, they're bringing some container over. It could have anything. Like booze?
Yeah, like booze. Yeah, it's got lighter fluid. If the guy takes a sip out of it, it's probably not explosive or anything, right?
That's right.
You should just, sir, take a drink out of that first.
That's right. That's what they do. Instead of just saying you can't do it, they force you to take a drink out of it before you sit down at the table.
If you survive that drink, then okay, it's good. Put it underneath the rail.
What are we missing? Jeez.
Somebody's going to call in and say, okay, here's the reason.
Yeah, and we're
going to feel like idiots.
I know, it's going to be this perfectly legitimate reason. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for blowing up on the show.
Now, what casino was that he said?
I think he said New York, New York.
Oh, God. Oh my God. What is it with these people? I think a lot of this, and I have no reason to say this. I have nothing to back this up with, but I think a lot of it is just pit bosses who are just angry.
Yeah.
Angry, disturbed
right.
people. They've been doing that for years. They're jaded, and that's just their way of like asserting some authority.
I guess. Or did some memo actually come down?
Don't let anyone bring a beer to the craps table.
No matter where it came from.
No matter where it came from.
All right. Next call.
Hi, guys. This is Robin from Anytime Gambling out here on the East Coast. Looking forward to meeting you at BIMP. And my question is, I'm a video poker player and a little bit of blackjack and slots, but I really do want to get together with you guys at BIMP to learn how to play craps. And so I was wondering if you could just give a list of like 5 or 6 things that the beginning craps player needs to know to get started at the table. Like even like what side of the table do you go, or what do you do with your chips, or just very basic things that the beginning craps players would need to know. So hope to see you at BIMP, and I'm lobbying to meet you guys on Saturday morning instead of Friday morning because I don't get in until late Friday. And it was nice to hear that you were interested in visiting Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun because, I live about 20 minutes from both. So if you were ever interested, I would definitely, again, I had offered before, but I'd definitely love to host you guys out here on the East Coast. And I guess that's it. So and thanks for supporting Anytime Gambling. You guys are excellent. Can't wait to see you. Ciao.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. I would love to go to Connecticut. I just don't see us. We don't have any relatives up there. We'd have to make a special trip, and maybe we will someday. But,
we would if our children were older. I think that's when it's going to happen.
That's probably what it's going to be. Yeah, once they're out of the house.
Or just in college or something, where we don't feel bad about neglecting them.
What we should do? Once all our kids both sets of kids are out of the house, the 4 of us, you and me and our wives, we just get this huge RV and we just travel the country going to different casinos.
Oh, yeah.
You think the wives will be up for that?
Our wives are going to be up for that.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what they can do? They can cook and drive the RV while we're sleeping it off in the back. Yeah, that'll go over well.
All right. I'm going to discuss it with my wife tonight.
I'll tell you what, though. my wife, and probably yours too, wouldn't mind a trip to Connecticut.
No, not at all.
I mean, there'd probably be a lot for them to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, at VIMP, we do plan on having some craps sessions, and we're going to be, teaching beginners there. Tentatively, I think we're going to probably stick with this, but tentatively 10 a.m. each day that we're there, Friday and Saturday.
Right.
10 a.m. at Golden Gate. So come by and we'll teach you some things. But just to talk about a couple of real basic things going up to the craps table. And I'm not even going to talk about how the game is played necessarily, but what you do when you go up to a craps table, you can go up to any empty spot at the table, right?
Right.
Have your money out. Typically, what you want to do is you don't want to buy in the middle of a hand when the point has been established. Mm-hmm. So this is just etiquette. You could if you wanted to, but it's basically
some
just
people
etiquette.
feel it's bad luck. Yeah, it really isn't. It really has nothing to do with it. But to keep everyone happy, it's best to wait until it's a new come out roll.
Right.
And you can tell that by looking at the puck. There's a puck on the table and it'll say on or off.
Right.
When it's on a number, it'll say on, and that means there's a roll going on.
Right.
If it's off and it's kind of to the side, it's not on any of the numbers, then that's a good time to buy in.
Right. So you look for that off, and then that's when you buy in. Now, you need to put your money down on the table. You cannot hand it to the dealer. They cannot take money from your hand.
That's the same in every table game.
Yeah.
But it's weird in craps because the way that it's not a flat table.
Right.
Like blackjack or something where you just drop your
Blackjack,
money.
it's like you're just scooting it over to them. But at a craps table, you actually have to drop it down into the tub. Right. And then they'll take the money and give you your chips. Now, you have to buy in for the full amount that you give them. So you couldn't give them $100 bill and say, I want $20 worth of chips and the rest change, right? So, you put your money down. They'll take the money, count it up, and then they'll count out chips. And you need to wait until they push those chips to you, pretty much right in front of you.
Right. They count it out in front of them.
Right.
Or in the middle of the table, and then they slide it over so it's right next to you.
Right. There is this tendency for new players to want to reach out and get the chips when the dealer's really not ready to give them to you yet. So you need to wait until he pushes them to you. And then you just take your chips and you put them up in the rack. The craps table, unlike, say, a table game like blackjack, actually has racks built into the table where you can keep your chips.
Little rails where you can keep your chips.
Right, in the rail. That's right. And then when it's time to bet, you just, take however much you want to bet and you put it on the pass line right in front of you. The pass line goes all the way around the table. So you want to put it just right in front of you so that the dealer knows that that's your bet. It's not like there's a separate circle for your bet like in blackjack or, other table games. You just put that right out in front of you on the pass line.
Basically in front of you is.
I mean, let's stop there. Those are real basics about just how you handle yourself when you go up to a table. Okay. And then please join us at VIMP and we'll take you through the gamut of possibilities. All right. We've got a call from Joe.
Hi guys, this is Joe from New Jersey. Just found the podcast. Great job. Had a question for you. A while back I was at the Sands Casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It was a $15 table and there was a guy that was playing place bets, and when he got up to $30 on the 5 and 9, the casino was automatically converting his bets over to buy bets. And I think in Pennsylvania, you don't have to play the VIG until it hits. And I was just curious if there was any real benefit to that, if the way the math works out, if it is beneficial to ever convert a 5 and 9 bet from a regular place bet to a buy bet. I always learned that you only did that with the 4 and 10. Just thought you guys might be able to help me out. Love the podcast so far. Hope to see you at VIMP. Thanks.
Okay, the short answer is yes.
Yeah, that is.
Absolutely. If, in fact, you're at a casino where they do not collect the VIG until the bet wins, then buying the 5 and 9 is better than placing it if you're betting at least $20.
Right. You've got to bet at least 20. Below that, just place it.
Now, if you're not familiar with buy bets versus place bets, go back and listen to episode 54 where we kind of talk about the differences. But basically, with a buy bet, you pay a VIG a commission, 5%, and then they pay the buy bet at the true odds of your number coming up before a 7. And the thing is, this gets me. You can't do it in Vegas. In Las Vegas, you can buy the 4 and 10 and they won't collect the VIG till the bets win.
Right.
But every place we've gone, when we've asked about buying the 5 and 9, they said, oh, if you want to buy the 5 and 9, you have to pay the VIG up front.
And we were told at Caesars they won't let you buy the 5 and 9.
They just outright won't let you do it. Which, I mean, they shouldn't, because in that case, a place bet really is better than a buy bet. If you have to pay the VIG up front, a place bet on the 5 and 9 is better than a buy bet.
Right.
But again, if you are at a casino where they will let you buy the 5 and 9 and they won't collect the VIG until those bets win, then absolutely it's better to buy. And here's the example, right? Let's say you made a $20 place bet on the 5, okay, and it hit. How much does that pay?
Pay 7 for every 5.
Right.
So 7 into 20, $28.
$28 for the 20 you bet. Okay. Right. Let's say instead you bought the 5. You give them $20. You don't have to pay the VIG up front. It's just out there $20.
Then you're going to get paid the true odds of the 5 coming up, which will be 3-2.
Right.
And so your $20 is going to win 30, and you have to pay $1. So you're gonna get 29.
Right. The dollar is the VIG, 5%. Right. So your net is going to be $29.
Right.
So it's $28 if you place it, $29 if you buy it. Right. Absolutely, you want to do that. It brings down the house edge in half. A place bet on the 5 and 9 is a 4% house edge. Pretty bad, actually, when you think about it.
Right.
Buying the 5 and 9 where they don't collect the VIG until you win brings the house edge down to 2%.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it. Yep. Okay. Let's hear from Taylor.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor from New Mexico. Just wanted to call in for my girlfriend and I went to Laughlin for the weekend, last weekend, played craps there. As far as Laughlin goes, just really nothing special, unless you're jet skiing. That was fun. Anyway, we played craps a couple of times, and we tried the math nerds method of playing craps. You know, the free book that I saw on your website /podcast. So basically, I don't know if you call it a strategy, but it's just the way you play. You place $12 on 6 and 8, so $24. Once the point is established, if one of them hits 6 or 8, you take the $14 and then take both of them down to $6. So you get your money back plus $2. And then if it hits one more time with $6, each still up there, you take them all down. It's kind of a grind, but you don't lose that much money fast. I think the only time the shooter 7'd out immediately, just back to back, that happened just once, but there are a lot of times after we took him down, it 7'd out. So really, we thought it was really a great way to play, just to make it last longer. And then when we were shooting, we bet on the pass line and then bet on $1 and for the dealers for the trouble of, taking them down every time 6 or 8 hits. I can kind of tell the dealers are, I don't know if annoyed, but they catch on to it pretty fast. But I was thinking, like, if 4 or 5 of us did that at Vimp at Golden Gate, I wonder if the dealers would be annoyed by it. Anyway, great recommendation. I just had one question. So we were only placing once the points were established. We were wondering, and we were betting when we were shooting when we had a pass line bet. Do you think casinos would let you bet $1 on the pass line and a couple dollars on the odds if you weren't betting on the pass line, say, at Vimp? So anyway, thank you for the recommendation, and we will see you in 5 weeks. See you guys. Bye.
Yeah, I think they would allow that. I don't see why not, because there are plenty of times where I'll make like a hard way bet for the dealers, even though I'm not on the hard way.
Sure.
So as long as you let them know, oh, this $1 that I'm placing in the pass line's for you, because otherwise they'll say, oh, there's a $5 minimum table. Sure.
Right.
As long as you tell them it's a tip for them, yeah, I'm sure that's okay. If you were on the don't and you did that, they might not like it, or they might suggest you bet on something else. But I think it's allowed. It's perfectly allowed.
Oh, yeah. I think any tip is fine.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do it, but why would they say no?
Right.
So good. So Taylor was using the advice from the free book on our website, How a Math Nerd Plays Craps by Todd Goddess. And it's like he says, it's kind of a grind, right? But it helps you end up with more winning shooters than you would otherwise. It's not a guarantee, but as soon as one of the 6 or 8 hits and you go back down, you're going to be up for the roll, no matter what happens after that. So depending on how do you like to play that way? There are plenty of people who have patience like that, and that's good. And
if you have patience like that, it's not a bad way to go. I have one question, and sad to say this, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, you don't read anything. I've got some. I listen to so many podcasts, you guys, and read so much. Mike just shows up.
I'm actually working. I actually have a pretty stressful job that I work 14 hours a day at. But what I wanted to know is, okay, after that second time, you hit the $6 bet and then you pull them down.
Yeah.
What do you do? Just write out the rest of the roll?
Yeah, I mean, depending. I mean, when you think about it, most rolls don't last very long, right? So a few rolls later, it's probably going to be the next shooter. Yeah, you don't take advantage of a hot roll like you would if you were more aggressive, but the downside of being aggressive like that is you don't survive the bad rolls as well as you would playing this way, right?
Why not do this? Why not? And I know this is kind of counterintuitive here, but if you put out $12 bets, and when one of them hits, you take them both down to 6.
That's what they're doing.
Right. Yep. And then when that 6 hits, collect. Don't take it down, just collect.
That's fine.
And then when it hits again, collect.
Yeah.
And then when one of them hits the third time, press it. Go both of them back to 12. Yeah. That way you've got all your initial money back. You've made a little bit, which is the same thing would happen if you took it down after the first one.
Right.
But now if it's a hot roll, you can keep going up a unit every time.
Sure, of course.
You're going to have fun on the hot rolls, and some of the bad rolls, you're not going to have much out there. You're going to have your money back.
But I mean, one nice thing too is if it's a bad roll and the 7 out comes just as you've taken both bets completely down, you feel good about that. It's like, all right, I survived. So, we could talk philosophy of craps all night long, but
we need to do a philosophy lecture on craps.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. Maybe that's what we'll do at VIMP for our show is just
philosophically speaking.
All right, everybody be quiet. Okay. Let's hear from Mike.
Hey, guys. Love the show. This is Mike in Los Angeles. Just quick comment about the craps table down at Harrah's Rincon, or Southern California, as they call it now. I noticed there's a lot of chairs around the tables. It's just hard to get on a table on a busy night. I was there a couple Saturdays ago. I want to say a normal craps table holds 8 or 9 people, and with all the chairs there, maybe 5 people per side. Not to mention half of the chairs were empty, or someone was on a smoke break or a bathroom break. Really feel like they should fix this situation on the chairs. Just wanted to get your opinion. Talk to you soon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a little bit of a mixed feeling because sometimes it is nice to sit down.
Well, it's not
because we'll play 5-6 hours at a time.
Yeah, sure.
And so sometimes it is not, take a little sit, right?
Yeah.
But half the time I stand up anyway.
Yeah, right.
And I always stand up when I shoot. I don't like shooting sitting down. But yeah, if they just got rid of them completely.
Yeah.
Then nobody would complain, or if they had never introduced them.
If they had never introduced them.
And it would be just like craps at every other place in Las Vegas or something. And, if you get tired after a few hours, take a break and go get something to eat and sit down.
Yeah.
But yeah, they take up a lot of room.
They do.
And, there's always somebody, someone walks away, are you using that chair? Or they want the chair. Because there's never 8 chairs because they can't
you wouldn't be able to get that many chairs around the table. Yeah.
Many chairs around the table. Just a real quick side story. There's a guy who plays there pretty regularly, and he's kind of a quiet guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not real loud or anything, but he'll talk to you, and he's pleasant, very nice. And one night, the table was pretty full, and I was standing up, but there was a chair behind me.
Right.
And he came up and, real quietly and politely says, do you mind if I use that chair? And I was like, oh no, go ahead, take the chair. And if I need it back, I'll just come over and punch you in the head.
He's a super nice guy.
And he looked at me like, oh my God.
Just keep your chair.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I'm just teasing you. Take the chair. I don't really need it. And I really don't. I'm fine to stand up the whole time.
Yeah. I do have kind of mixed feelings too. I do like how it does kind of give you a little more room because there are fewer people around there.
You can create room, right.
But yeah, they usually only have one $5 table and it's packed. And if there are chairs there, you can't get in. No, right. I agree. Plus, this is our local casino. We're there for, maybe 6-7 hours on a weekend.
Right.
And we could stand the whole time. In Vegas, when I've been standing at a craps table all weekend, that's when I really get fatigued.
Right. Well, and they should have a couple chairs at any casino for like handicapped people. Like if my dad,
they usually
they'll pull him up a chair.
Sure.
And then nobody says anything because they realize, this is a 90-year-old who needs to sit down. But a 55-year-old, I don't need to sit down. I can stand up 5 hours.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear from Eric.
Hi. I'm Eric from Eastern Canada, and I don't live in Washington State. I don't make the laws here, so don't hold it against me, Dr. Mike. I started playing craps last year, and it's pretty much the only casino game I have fun playing. I found the shows after you guys posted the craps Facebook page, and that was episode 79, and I'm working my way backwards, and I'm now on episode 32, and they're all pretty great. I have a few questions. You guys have such a good rapport. I was wondering how long you've known each other and how you met. Also, if it's not too much trouble, it'd be great if you guys could splice all the bonus audio clip together because it's kind of a pain to listen to them individually on the app. There's a question about gambling in California. I'm going to be in the Santa Rosa area in November, and I'm wondering if you guys have a recommendation for craps, a casino down there. I'd like to see how you guys do it with the cards and everything in California. Now, finally, I have a question about Bankroll. And since I think it's personal how much people like to bet, I'm going to ask in percentage. So here it is. After a point is established and you set up the bets you like, the way you like it, what percentage of your bankroll are you comfortable having out there? Well, thank you. It's a great show, and it's such a better commute when I have good stuff like this to listen to. Thank you.
Okay, let's go through all these questions.
All
so
right.
First, how did we meet? So we went to the same high school.
It's kind of a complicated question, really.
Yeah, it really is. Went to the same high school, but we were not in the same class. I was in the same class as your sister.
As my sister.
So I knew her. Were you in the class ahead of us?
The class ahead of you.
Okay.
Right.
So I didn't really know you in high school.
Not that. No,
maybe
not
we
really.
know of each other, but that was about it. Where we really met was at a restaurant. We both worked at a restaurant, Farrell's Ice Cream. People may remember Farrell's restaurant. It was like an ice cream.
Now. There's a few
I think
left,
there's some, but Farrell's Ice Cream Restaurant. And I started there. I was a busboy. I think at that point you were a waiter.
Right.
And that's where we initially met.
Right.
And even then, we just kind of worked together. And then a few years later, we ended up working at a different Farrell's.
Yeah, a different one. We both transferred to the different one.
Right.
And then we, started having regular craps games at late nights.
That's right.
In the party room after work.
That's where we became friends. And after everything had closed, it's like, okay, open up the craps table.
We were friends. We just weren't that close until the gambling started after work.
That's right. And we joined in with a few more friends who had a poker game going, the same poker game, weekly poker game that we play in.
Yeah, it's evolved
to this day. And so that's how our friendship kind of grew.
And that's 30 years ago?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, exactly.
30-something years ago.
And then once we were both out of college, we went to Vegas a few times. We were in college. So, we weren't gambling very much because, we just didn't have the money.
Right.
But then when we both graduated from college in the 90s, when neither one of us was married, we went to Vegas constantly.
Right. We had good jobs and we weren't married and things were different.
Yeah, right. So, that's basically how we met. Okay, so this bonus audio. So what Eric is talking about, back when we used to sell our app, we would provide bonus audio for the app. So people who bought the app would get, a little extra bonus audio. And now that we don't actively sell the app anymore, we don't do any of this bonus audio. But since it's basically free now, Eric's suggesting, why not, splice it all together and put it out there for everybody to listen to? I've actually thought about this before. I've just been too lazy to do it. But
I can't do it. I don't have the
you have no
knowledge.
idea.
I have no idea.
But I probably will do that eventually. I'll just splice them all together and put them up as like a bonus episode that everybody can do. So eventually I'll do that.
Now that I'm thinking, it's closer to 40 years. No, 35
We're
years.
not that old.
35. I'm 55.
Yeah,
so
I'm not.
20, it's 35 plus years.
All right, don't remind me. Santa Rosa, California. There is a casino fairly close there, the Grayton Casino. They do have table games, but they don't have craps. There's really no craps in the Santa Rosa area at all. The closest thing that you'll get, you can drive about a half hour to the River Rock Casino. They have something called turn and burn craps.
And that's closer to San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's just actually not too far across the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
So it's on your way between San Francisco and Santa Rosa.
Now, this turn and burn craps, it's funny because you and I were talking about it. When you drove by the casino, you saw like an ad for it.
They had a big
right?
ad for turn and burn craps.
It's the silliest thing. First of all, it's based on dice, but they have to use cards. So I don't know exactly what cards they use to determine the dice. But it's a game that's only one roll bets. So there's no concept of a point or a come out roll. It's just every roll is a separate wager. So the table just has a bunch of hop bets like you'd normally see on a craps table, a field bet. You can bet the next roll is going to be like a 6, specifically a 6, or the next roll is going to be a 7. That's all it is.
Yeah. The funny thing is, so if you bet on a 6, like in regular craps, when you place a 6, your bet stays there until 7 comes up.
Mm-hmm, right.
But in this, when you put your money on a 6, and you can bet them separately, like 4-2.
Yes,
if the next roll's an 8, you lose that bet.
Yeah, that's all it is.
They're all one roll bets.
I can't imagine why they would want to introduce this game. Why not just deal craps?
Right.
I mean, I know it's easier to teach a dealer how to deal something like this.
This is very easy because at the end of the roll, it's like take all the losers away.
Yeah, I don't see the appeal of this, but I don't know. Maybe, people are playing it. I will say this. The payoffs for these one roll bets are better than you'd find at a regular craps table. For example, like if you bet on an 11, it pays 16-1. Not 16-4-1, it pays 16-2-1, right? So it's still a crappy bet, but it is better than a regular craps table. That's about the only thing they've got going for it as far as I know.
Yeah, it's, I drove by the casino and I saw the big sign and I wasn't even tempted to stop because as soon as I saw turn and burn, I thought, well, this isn't regular craps. I don't know what this is.
Well, you texted me or your wife did, right?
Yeah,
and then I texted you back with all the information about it. Yeah,
I'm glad we didn't stop.
Yeah. And then Eric's last question about what percentage of our bankroll are we comfortable having on the table at any given time? We got another call from Mike that has a similar question. Let's listen to that.
Hey guys, Mike in Los Angeles again. I was wondering if you guys could comment on some of your bankroll management strategies, particularly for craps. If you're a $10 player going to Vegas, what kind of bankroll would you recommend? $10 frontline bet with maybe 3, 4, 5 odds on the back. How many sessions do you expect to play based on your bankroll? For example, if you're going to bring 4,000 or 5,000, you're going to bring 1,000 to the table each time, or 1,200 or 500. Just want to get some thoughts on what you prefer to use as your management strategy. Thanks.
Let's answer that question, the first one, about what percentage at any time.
Okay, right.
I think 10% is the max I would want on the table of my bankroll at any time.
And you're talking about your bankroll for that session, not for like a whole trip.
Right. For that session.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about after the come out. And I placed all the numbers or I made my come bet or whatever.
Right.
I'm not talking about presses or anything because, at the end of a hot roll, you might have well over 10% of your initial buy-in out there.
Yeah.
But it might be all winnings, right? From that roll. But like on the very first roll, I wouldn't want to get more than 10%.
Yeah, I sometimes will think 20%, and people may be thinking, oh my gosh, that's so high. And it is. But as an example, let's say I go to a table, $10 minimum table. I'll cash in for $500 with the intent of betting, say $10 in the pass line, 2 $10 come bets with full odds.
Right.
I'll have quite a lot of money out there. And I'm okay if things go really bad and I'm out that 500 in, 10 minutes or so. It's like, okay, that was a bad session. I want to walk away.
Right.
It was going so bad. I need a break. I don't want to just keep playing. So I kind of force myself to bring maybe not that much money to the table when I'm going to play. If things go real bad, I want to step away. Now, as far as a bankroll for a whole trip goes, that's going to be quite a bit more. Right. If you're planning on betting, I think, like Mike said, $10 minimum, taking full odds and everything, I think you need a couple $1,000, $3,000 to survive a weekend trip in Vegas. Because that can go fast.
If you're going to gamble like we gamble.
That's true. Because
if you're going to gamble like we gamble, which is, most of the time we're there, then at a $10 table, you're going to need $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah, I think so. Right? Yeah.
And if you're betting 25, you're going to need to take 6,000 maybe.
If it's 25, you may need 10,000. This is the thing that kind of gets me about craps too, is I think we're being realistic in these numbers. And that's a shame for somebody who's bringing, $300 for an entire trip and wants to play some craps.
Well, that's why they need a $5 table.
They need less than that. That's one nice thing about downtown, the Fremont, you can play $3 craps. I wish we had more of that, but oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like any other gambling experience. If you get hot right off the bat, get some good rolls, and all of a sudden your bankroll's padded by let's say you brought 2,000 and your first table, you win 2,000 and you're walking away with 4,000 in your pocket. Then you've got a lot of leeway there. You're going to be fine.
But it's not the casino's money.
No, it's not. It's now your money, and you should play the same way.
Right.
But if that first session, you buy in for 500 and you're wiped out and you've got 1,500 left, then you're thinking, okay, I can't have another bad session like this. Right. You are playing with a little scared money.
Yeah, it's true.
Point.
Yeah. So, I guess, anywhere between 10 and 20% of the bankroll for your session, every roll. And I think your suggestion of 10% is much better than mine. I'm a little more aggressive.
Yeah, 10% is probably a good amount. Yeah. Now, if you bought in for 3,000, 10% is $300.
Yes.
So you've got quite a bit out there.
Yeah.
But if you only bought in for 500, then $50 is probably all you should have out there.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I will probably have maybe 100 out there.
Yeah.
So it could go fast.
It could go,
but again, if it
could go well.
It could go well, right? Yeah. Right. Do we answer it?
I guess we answered that pretty much. I mean, playing at $25 table, between 6,000 and 10,000.
Yeah.
Really for a whole weekend.
Yeah.
The way we play.
Okay. So VIMF is coming up October 16th through the 18th. On the 18th, we're going to be doing our podcast, followed by the Denton, Dallas, and Beyond podcast. Let's hear from one of the co-hosts of that show, Edwin.
Hey guys, this is Edwin from Denton, Texas, and I was gonna chime in on your conversation about the casinos changing the rules to increase their hold. And I guess it was last year we split our time between the Cosmopolitan and downtown. And I think the 2 days we stayed at the Cosmopolitan, all the blackjack was 6 to 5. The video poker payouts were horrible. And I finally had decided, just in order to get the 3 to 2, I would go ahead and play $25 blackjack. And when I went down to play the $25 blackjack, it was still 6 to 5. I had to go to $50, for 3 to 2. So I ended up not gambling one dime at the Cosmopolitan, and then I just waited till we went downtown. We went downtown, we stayed at the D, and as soon as we got down there, I started making up for lost time. And I think you're right. I think it does make a difference to the educated consumer anyway. I would rather play and stay downtown where at least I have a chance of winning, and I don't have to play 6 to 5 tables, and I'm not playing poor payout video poker. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I just wanted to chime in. I completely agree with you. I think by increasing their hold, they're actually losing money. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the show, and I'll see you at VIMP.
And just a reminder, there's going to be a bingo game going on during our podcast. Right. And I want to remind people that they can still show up and not play bingo. You don't have to play bingo. There's no cost to get in to see the podcast. I think there will be a cost to actually play bingo.
Right.
But, if you don't want to
I think it's real gambling.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It
is a real bingo game. Right. Yeah. So, but you can just come and enjoy the show if you like.
I'm curious to see how this bingo thing works.
Yeah, I know. During the show, I know.
Yeah, well, and I just like to see how bingo works.
You'd like to see how it works.
Yeah, it's been so long. Second grade was the last time I played bingo.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't very good at it then.
Well, this topic of the state of gambling on the Strip is just not going to go away. Here's the thing, Mike, when you and I go to Las Vegas, people go to Vegas for many reasons. When we go to gamble.
Right.
That's why we're there.
And we're looking for the best tables as far as giving us the best chance to win.
Yep.
That we can get.
Yep.
That's all we're looking for.
We're not going to see shows. No. Maybe we'll have a nice meal, one nice meal during the trip.
We like to have a nice meal every trip, but we don't really. That's not our priority.
No, we'll go to the food court if we're really hungry, just to get something real
quick. And we've
quick.
seen shows. I'm not saying I've never been to shows. I've been to plenty of shows.
But not when you and I have gone together. It's when we're with family or other people.
It's with family and other people. It's when that's the emphasis on the trip is doing stuff like that. When it's just you and I, it's gambling.
Yep. And the thing is, I mean, we like the Strip, but, there are not a lot of reasons for us to go to the Strip anymore.
No.
Really, other than the fact that we've got a Harrah's close to us and we build up all these Caesars Total Reward points and maybe we get, some comps on the Strip. But, I mean, think about it. Downtown, better tables, the casinos are closer together for two gamblers like us.
It's better. And the thing is, too, if it continues on the trend where everything's getting worse, where they're going to offer less odds and the video poker pay tables are going down and down and down, which, by the way, we talked about this the other night when we were out at the casino. Oh my God, it's getting so hard to find a decent video poker machine.
Oh, I know. And they're tricky about it too, Mike, because you texted me or you called me from the casino. I said, "Hey, Mark, I found an 8-5 bonus poker." Okay. And I said, "Mike, check the entire pay table. Is it really bonus poker?" And he looked, and sure enough, it didn't pay any differently on any of the 4 of a kinds.
Yeah.
It was a Jacks or Better machine that said bonus poker.
It said bonus poker.
Yeah.
And I was all excited. 8-5. Here's another good machine.
Yep.
And then when Mark looked, I'm like, sure enough, 4 aces, 4 kings, it all paid. All 4 of a kind paid the same.
So it's just Jacks or Better. Yeah, that's terrible. Well, one of our listeners, David, actually posted some theories about the Strip and what they're doing on our Facebook page. I'm going to link to that post. And, it's funny because we talked about this on the last episode, and when I was editing the episode, I was thinking to myself, what point were we trying to make when we recorded last episode? Because first we were saying, Steve Wynn is being real stupid going to double odds and 6-5 blackjack and everything. But then we turned around and we said, well, yeah, our friend Paul, he loves blackjack, but he sat there at the 6-5 table. So on one hand, we're saying the casinos are being stupid. On the other hand, we're saying, the sheep are going to come and play. I still think the casinos are being stupid. And one of our listeners, Mitchell, forwarded us an article from Vegas Inc. where they were basically saying what we said last week, where the casinos are so concerned about their hold percentage that it's actually hurting the amount of money that they're bringing in. By tightening these machines and making the rules worse, they're actually making less money at gambling.
Right.
And I think that really is the trend. I'll link to that article as well.
You know what's funny, and I was thinking about this driving home after last weekend. The casinos are driving, Vegas casinos are driving people to gamble at their local Indian casinos, which have better rules.
Some of them do. I know there are some people who live close to casinos and the rules at their local casinos are not good.
Yeah, it might be Washington and Oklahoma.
Right. But I mean, certainly here, we go out to Verona. They've got great video poker pay tables.
Right.
The craps tables all around here, 3, 4, 5
smart.
Is the minimum.
They're going to keep people here. We're not going to go to Vegas. We're going to go to Verona. It's down the street, basically.
Right. Yep. Well, this won't be the last time we talk about this.
No, I'm afraid not.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank Michael for a very generous PayPal donation that he sent this last week. He just returned from Vegas. I heard from him today. He had a winning trip in Vegas, so that worked out good for him. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. Oh, and The Player, the show that I saw at Comic-Con, that starts next week. It's a Thursday, September 24th on NBC.
They've been advertising it a lot.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it supposedly helps us get new listeners. What do you say, Dr. Mike?
All right. Well, I got a couple things to say. Number one, I want to thank everyone who calls in.
Yeah.
Because it's great. And it's not just because it gives us stuff to talk about and everything too. I like listening to them. I like getting your forwarded emails, if somebody asked this or that or whatever. Yeah. It really does make my day better.
Yeah.
So I got to thank everyone for that. And then number two, I hope everyone has got their football pools all squared away. We didn't talk about that much.
No, we didn't this year. No.
But, this is the time. Get your football pools going. Get all your football stuff and make your bets. I love football.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I loved football before there were fantasy leagues.
Sure.
But I do like football pools. Yeah. I love football pools. And I'm going to say something funny. This week, I make my picks.
Yep.
In your pool.
Yep.
I ended up tied.
Yeah, you came down to a tiebreaker and you
tiebreaker
lost.
with two other people. I lost the tiebreaker.
Yep.
I give my sister my picks for her pool at her work, except I change one, which I was a little unsure of anyway, and she wins it. She wins outright her pool. So she gets a bunch of money. I get nothing.
You get if you had made the same picks in her pool as you made in my pool, you would have won.
I would
my
have won
pool
your
outright.
pool too, right? So I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there at home and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? Why don't I just, it would have been less torturous if I just gave her my picks, right? Of course, she wouldn't have won then. Well, she would have ended up tie, and I don't know what the tiebreaker would have been. But anyway, and so it got me thinking, and I'm looking at your football pool statistics. And Mark, being, the person he is, he has everything on there. So there's a column that says, the 21st century results. That was it.
That's it.
21st century results.
Yep. 2001 and on. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and my wife, and both my daughters are up for the 21st century.
They're ahead.
They're ahead, and I'm down.
Yep.
And how can that be?
I think it's perfectly reasonable.
I live with 3 female women. Well, 3 female humans is what I meant to say.
Yeah, that's good. That's clear.
And 2 female canines. And I'm the only one in the house who's losing at the football pool.
Is it a little emasculating for you?
It's a little emasculating.
All right.
Okay, so I'm a little upset about that. I need to win some football pools.
All right, go get them.
And I study it, and I come up with all kinds of stuff.
That's your problem.
Yeah, that's my problem. I should do like my daughter said. And so I was upset about this, right? So we're in the car, and I said to him, how can that be? And my daughter said, well, Dad, there's 2 ways to pick football pools. One is just go with your gut feeling on the first thing that pops in your head. And the other is see what your dad picks and then go opposite of him. That's what she told me.
That's what she does.
Yeah, and she's won the most.
All right, so you need to get your dad into the pool.
Yeah, right.
Have him make his picks and then bet the opposite of him.
Exactly. That'd be perfect.
That's what we need to
I'll
work
use
on
your
this
dad
week.
because he does enter.
That's true. He enters the pool. I'll tell you what
call
he did.
him up.
Yeah, call him, yeah. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.